Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the rank 1 Protoss player in the world in the red, the mysterious MaxPax. But up against an increasingly dangerous antagonist, the Zerg in the blue, the underling. It's SHIN. A best of 5 Protoss versus Zerg showdown. And whether it's MaxPax revolutionizing the entire Protoss versus Zerg matchup, or SHIN occasionally remembering adrenal glands, either way I think we're in store for some good games for the fans. If that's some of that good SHIN you're looking for, it'd be awesome if it could convince the algorithm by smashing that like button. And maybe even subscribing. And Jimmy, what are we at? Jimmy, what? 1,467 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, but thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than the workers on either side. Adept kills a drone, immediately murdered by queens and Zerglings inside MaxPax's base already. One probe dead, another one, a bunch pulled off the line as well. Meanwhile, apparently the Stalker's gonna kill an Overlord. A bit of a chaotic start. SHIN is going to be supply blocked, though he did kill some probes and delay mining. MaxPax lost his first Adept, but killing that Overlord is actually a bit of an economic blow as well. So neither player with a perfect start here. I think it evens out at the end of things. I think SHIN still got a bit of an edge there. Getting the Zerglings into the bait and forcing the probes to pull off the line is already a pretty big win, especially when the amount of probes is measured in just a couple dozen. Well, Oracle comes in, glides right over the Spore Crawler, and, well, certainly does not enjoy the experience. Gets maybe one kill, lights up another Oracle in order to burn away the Zerglings at the third. Clearly not interested in any Zerglings troubling him, but burning through a lot of energy for relatively little reward. All right, Oracle coming around again. Looking for an opportunity. There's no Spore Crawler quite yet. He's going to come around to the high ground. Stasis in the main. Catches some. Queens tagging the Oracle. Almost get... He comes back in for another pass and die. Brenda, when are we going to get +1 range? We talked about this, Susan. Whenever Cyril retires. Where does he sleep? Sorry. Twilight Council and Forge on the way, but already +1 melee for SHIN, who's going to be opting for mass Zerglings against what is likely to be MaxPax's trademark Blinkstalker +1 style. But did he scout? He saw the evolution chamber, and that evolution chamber is already a tell. 90% of the time you see an evo chamber before the lair, it's for this +1 melee attack to make those Zerglings that much more effective. So will MaxPax shift his build from the more standard Blink into probably not Glaives, maybe Charge and Templar Archives, or does he just stick with his metaphorical gun, since the Protoss seem to have issue with the literal sense? Shady Bunch is headed in towards the third, but the Queens are already there, plenty of Zerglings. A surprisingly fierce army here, with just 2 Oracles and 4 Adepts. Though, probably doesn't want to stick around too long with the Queens around. Charge and +1 on the way. So the choice is to swerve into charge lots and very likely a Templar Archives instead of playing into SHIN's hand by going for Blinkstalkers. Alright, we'll see if SHIN recognizes this and shifts his opportunities. Or his options, rather. Oracle finally goes down, but a Stasis in the main kind of balances it out. A big chunk of the drones will be frozen in time for now, as well as one of the Queens. Somewhat embarrassingly also there. That's a lot of Zerglings. 27 Zerglings. MaxPax has 1 Stalker, 2 Stalkers, double the Stalkers, and 2 Oracles, but one of them is trapped at the back of the base. So, can you defend against several dozen Zerglings with 3 units? I guess the probes are technically a unit. The answer should be no. But, well, that's a lot of blood on the ground there, and I'm pretty sure probes don't bleed. So... MaxPax manages to defend 27 Zerglings and loses, what, 2 more probes and a stalker? Well, it's gonna take a bit more than that. Hydra's on the way, a lurker den as well as a hive. I was wondering if he was gonna go for the stock lurkers, which are simply not good enough. They are just that they're much like Rose Art is the brand for children whose parents don't love them. Stock lurkers are the unit for Zergs who don't want to win the game. Without the hive tech upgrades, the lurkers were better off being Hydras. But once you get there, well, SHIN is actually supply blocked. Going into this attack, MaxPax with a dangerous army on his doorstep right now. Not that Protoss would know what a door is, but they can imagine, I guess. Hallucinate, even. Some Archons. We gotta be careful not to split off too much. Doesn't want to go in piecemeal, so the Hydras can pick it off one by one. Even a Colossus on the way behind. Colossus? Huh. He carves through the creep spread and pushes it all the way back. And now hanging out at the watchtower. MaxPax comfortable enough to just take a third. He's already started a second Robo. Extended Thermal Lance is on the way, so he's actually really investing in these Colossi. Which, pretty good against Lurkers. Obviously much better against Zerglings and Hydralisks, but... What are the upgrades at? Hive is done, which means Adrenal Glands is about 20 minutes off. More Lurkers on the way. Lurker range halfway done. A very unlucky Zealot, or very lucky, depending on what you're into. Completely surrounded. Oh, the Prism! SHIN sees it! Knocked down with 4 Zealots inside. Well, MaxPax still a dangerous army out there. There's 9, 10, 12 lurkers on the field. The lurkers headed towards the 4th base while MaxPax kind of unaware of it. Pretty sure he hasn't seen a single lurker. And unless he brings detection with him, he is going to continue to have that issue. A single probe will sound the alarm. Oh my god, the Diva announcer. I'm not sure which player that was with it, but... Oh, SHIN. I'm pretty sure MaxPax just using default, but 2 disruptors on the way. The lurker's already on the base. Meanwhile, force field's trying to lock in some. Colossi in an awkward position. He can't really recall to this base. 1, he doesn't have energy, and 2, the lurkers are cross-hatching it. The Hydra is more than enough to take it out. He works on the 3rd, but a recall right on top. No! Oh, no! Oh, he recalled probes! But no! Oh, no! Well, MaxPax, that's an absolute unmitigated disaster. What happened? Where did they even come from? Did he recall from that outer base? 2 Raptors! Fires off a shot! Oh, baby, a triple. Knocks out a few of the lurkers, but... SHIN. Oh... MaxPax is knocked down to 122 over 102 supply. Supply blocked at half of SHIN's max. The Colossi incinerating some of the lurkers in this awkward Reaper cliff angle. Oh my god, that's so much Zerg. And a lot of it gets caught in a stasis ward that's just been hanging out for a while. They're disruptors. There are a whole lot of Archons and Colossi. This is a very dangerous Protoss army. But it's all meat and not enough potatoes, as the saying goes. Well, not that the Protoss would know, as they do not have mouths, but I have no mouth, but I must scream. As right now, MaxPax on the ropes. And SHIN, he's got 86 drones. He's got 5 bases. Well... There is a very narrow path, and I think it's a path we've all trod before, or at least watched before, which is sending your army multiple times into the most cost-effective Protoss army they can possibly build. Okay? That's a story we've seen too many times. Myself, mostly in my own games, but... So SHIN has to be a little careful, but he has the economy to be somewhat inefficient, but he has to be effective. He can't just throw units and hope that they reach their preset kill limit and stop attacking. Double Nidus on the way, which is certainly one way of circumventing the problem. Double Nidus could force MaxPax to split his forces, and any splitting of his forces is going to be almost impossible to manage. Yanks in half the army, disruptors around the corner. Not the most ambitious of ducks. 3 more Vipers on the way. SHIN, whoop. A little bit slow on the pull-up. And the Lurkers will be badly bruised. How many Lurkers does he have? 19 of them. Oh, reaching that critical mass. But MaxPax did not surrender. There were a few moments there where, you know, it would have been justifiable to tap out, but now we've passed that point, as MaxPax is almost equal in army supply. He's at 176 total. Stasis catches some. The Zerglings eat another. Recall direct. Tell me those are units. They are. And a fierce set of units at that. Another Nidus at the back of the base. Double Nidus. All right, Rogue. The charge lots. There's a cannon helping out. I don't know if the charge lots are going to be enough. Lurkers diving in towards the 3rd base. MaxPax scrambling to defend. He's going to lose this base. Another double Nidus coming in towards the middle of the main this time around. Disruptor shots around the corner. Smack into the Lurkers. Take out a couple more. But again, oh no, he missed these. There's a whole bunch of badly bruised Lurkers in there. He can pop them out. He does so. That's actually like the worst possible choice of Lurkers he could have had. More Disruptor shots on the low ground. A few Zealots chasing Hydras outside of the Nidus network in an awkward engagement. The main base, 3 badly bruised Lurkers. Another Nidus is coming up, using those Lurkers as a foothold. There was a Changeling blocking the Immortals from getting back into the base. What a play by SHIN there, who's now making his Spire great again back at home. By the way, he has a Spire, also worthy of note. Another Nidus is taken down. MaxPax putting out fires left, right, and center. But there's still a lot burning. Disruptor shot comes out, kills another couple. He's got some storms ready on the Templar if he can bring them to bear. The Niduses have been shut down. MaxPax back down to 3 bases. Where's the detection? Triple feedback, 0 out of 5. Would not fight again. Immortals bashing their way through, though. And MaxPax somehow seems to have held a massive cinematic warp-in of Zealots. The main base, the Hive, is vulnerable because he consumed it. It is hubris. The Lurker Den will be rebuilt immediately. The rest of the army is cut across the map. And MaxPax is going yet again for the base trade. But unfortunately, a Nidus hits at the back of the base. Some of the probes aren't mining. SHIN, he consumed his hatcheries so much they're easy pickings. But a few Lurkers, where did they even come from? Where did these Lurkers? They just walked in. MaxPax is how long on recall? Another, well, it's up. Recall's ready. But where are you going to recall to? There's enough Lurkers. He's consuming. Stop consuming your hatchery. Just build like 6 Evo chambers. And research adrenal glands. I don't know. I'm not here to tell SHIN how to play. Well, yes, I am, but it's not like my main job. I'm wearing a lot of hats right now. Figuratively, obviously. Well, Nidus pops out. The escape Nidus pops right back into it. Lurker Den number 2 is now finished. There's still a Warp Prism at the back, but somehow MaxPax seems to have retaken the initiative, despite barely mining right now. SHIN has 2,200 more minerals and 900 more gas per minute. For some reason, we don't have the typical observer UI where you can see the fancy graphs, but you have the numbers down here, and the numbers kind of spell disaster for MaxPax. It's not looking great, though. He did get back to mining that 3rd base. Here come the Vipers. Yanks it at Archon, an Immortal as well. Storms across the board. But the Lurkers have done their damage. MaxPax, he has a whole heap and help and a gas in the bank. Almost enough to... Wait, he just warped in 9 Templar. Well, that's one way to get rid of it. Another Nidus on the way. MaxPax trying to fight back from the brink. There's just so many lurkers. Just maintaining detection is a struggle here, but that sentry storm softened things up with the Templar almost in range. Another Nidus taken down by 3 very angry Archons, but that's kind of redundant. MaxPax still was such a dangerous army. SHIN still without adrenal glands. A Nidus in the main. 3-3 melee and Carapace finally on the way. SHIN has been so focused on trying to kill MaxPax that he hasn't actually compounded his advantage as much as he probably could have. And somehow MaxPax still has this army together. 22 kill, 25 kill Colossus. Might end now. Actually manages to slink away after the abduct. And another base is almost a freebie here. He's got an Oracle with it. Detection on maybe that one lurker. Not that he necessarily needs it. Another Nidus at the back of the base. More charge lots putting out the fires yet again. And this might be the prime opportunity for a recall. But SHIN is... the double Nidus still dangerous. Can pop out some lurkers at point blank range. That might require... there's the recall. One immortal. He's a loner. We missed the recall bust there. Double Nidus boxing in some of these units. But this is starting to look like mineral laundering here. Out of SHIN. He keeps sending Nidus and lurkers. He's lost 35 lurkers this game. MaxPax has only lost 1 Colossus. More probes will die. And another attack. More lurkers. The base is just under siege as SHIN is incessant, inexorable, but mostly ineffective. Looks like he'll finally take out another Nexus. The Nidus to reinforce. Or, I'm sorry, the other way around. De-enforce. Escape Nidus. MaxPax still with comparable army supply. Exhausting. And it's not over yet. It feels like MaxPax has been one bad fight away from disaster for almost 15 minutes. But he hasn't had a bad fight in 15 minutes. The army, 10 Immortals, 10 Archons, 10 out of 10 composition. With anything else mixed in is just icing on the cake here. A single Phoenix in order to zone out, I guess, some of the overseers that are going, what are you doing? This Archon is on a solo mission. Changelings helping the Zealot to do its job of blocking the natural here. Interesting choice. Wasn't there a Greater Spire? Indeed there was. SHIN now building some Brood Lords. And MaxPax has not... the one thing he hasn't had. Oh my. Stalker meleeing a Hydra. The one thing he hasn't had was that sort of bank where you can transition into the Fleet Beacon and the Sky Toss. The Golden Armada is an expensive investment. And not one MaxPax can realistically get to when he's been struggling to retake his own third base for like 15 minutes. So... the Broodlord switch, though, may be a bit late, as SHIN doesn't really have the drone count or the income to reliably remax out. He was right on the edge of not being able to remax at all when he decided to make this switch. So, but the army is... the anti-air is 10 Archons, a Phoenix, and 3 High Templar. That is not a reliable anti-Broodlord army. Especially with anything else on the ground. So MaxPax is going to have to do some... make some very difficult decisions, yet again. As SHIN forces the issue with a counterattack. A Nidus. The Broodlords will be revealed, but the Storms! Oh, melting through Hydras. A recall at point blank on top! He just backs off into the Nidus. fleet beacon starts. He reaches to the skies in order to maybe at some point deal with the Broodlords. But the fact that the Broodlords are already out poses a existential threat to MaxPax at this stage. The fact he's still in the game is a minor miracle. If he's able to turn it all around, it'll be an even greater one. But again, SHIN, well, how many Zerglings without adrenal glands has he got? Still has not invested in that, but 62 drones. A good, but definitely not great economy. He's mined out of his main, his natural, his third. Wait, no, that's the natural's gone. The third base is pretty much gone. Fourth base is starting to dry up a bit. Bit of an awkward angle here. Two Broodlords on their own. The Archons will actually get in near melee range. Always a good sign for them. But the Broodlings will rain down. Whoa. And that is quite a Zerg siege army. As MaxPax, I think, going into a base trade yet again. Round and round we go. Where will we stop? Eventually, I assume. The Broodlords are just not something you can deal with right now. But they struggle to chase down the army. How long on recall? We still got about 30 seconds. As MaxPax tries to buy time for his Tempest. The anti-air for SHIN is 25 Hydras, but no Corruptors at the moment. Those Hydras, immensely vulnerable to Storm. A Nidus will block another Nexus from coming up. The Nexus at the 6 o'clock is done. Somehow. What? Somehow that one went neglected. A few Zerglings are split off to deal with it. The Broodlords, at an awkward angle, great storms, will soften them up. But both Templar will die before they can cast another one. And it looks like SHIN may be able to pin MaxPax and force him into a fight here, finally. The Colossi getting yanked into the fray. One of them finally gets picked up. There's half a dozen Broodlords at least back here. 8 Broodlords in total. Some of them softened up. Another one gets knocked out by the Tempest Valley. And MaxPax is back down to 3 bases again. The Zerglings killed the Nexus to the south. There's still detection. He's done a great job of keeping those oracles with the army, keeping vision on the lurkers. But MaxPax is getting hunted down, hounded across the map. The only reason he isn't mined out of the northern base is because he lost so many probes, he's barely mining at all. 18 probes in total. MaxPax has been in a very long death animation, and I don't know if he has the amount of plot armor he needs to turn it around. A very strong army still, and SHIN clearly struggling to actually close it out. The Archon count has been whittled down to 3, no longer 10 out of 10. And we are not on the new patch, to be clear, in case I didn't mention that earlier. This is from Wardi's October tournament, the playoffs, which is why we're playing a best of 5. And shield battery overcharge should make it pretty apparent here, which means the Tempest cost 5 supplies still. Immortals, a little more attack speed, but cost a bit more. No energy recharge. I don't know if it would have helped or hurt more to have it this time around, but the Tempest count's still so high, but SHIN just can't kill him. I think he may bleed him out, though. There's just not enough. Tempest working on the gold base, which is mostly mined out at this stage. The Broodlords. The Tempest count is so damn high. Knocks out yet another observer. MaxPax almost down to the probe count he started with. SHIN has rebuilt something of a bank. Knocks out a full energy Viper. He's a +1 attack just finished, which means he'll have enough Tempest to one-shot Corruptors. But apparently not quite kill that hatch. There it goes. MaxPax is, he's not... He won't die. Why won't you die? Another wave of spores and spines. The Broodlords, the Hydras, the mass changelings. It all comes down to whether SHIN can ever fight the army. Alright? He has 7 Broodlords, 6 Lurkers. MaxPax, like, he can't build anything. He's broke. 13 probes, no new Nexi. There's Zerglings waiting for him to even attempt to expand. The production tab is empty now for very different reasons. An Oracle. Another Corruptor. Another Storm. He's just gonna dive on it. This is it. He's going for the kill. The Storms across the board. The Broodlords raining through. And the Archons, I don't think are gonna be enough. The Tempest's just not cutting it. And SHIN will grind his way through to a victory in game 1. Oh. It looked a little dicey there for a moment, but at the end of the day, SHIN is able to power through, and MaxPax unable to recover after the critical damage. A testament to MaxPax's tenacity to, you know, not leave the game when he lost everything but 1 base and most of his army. Remember, he did hold a couple dozen Zerglings with like 2 units, so not surprising to see him try that. But SHIN eventually closes it out, though it got dangerously close there for a moment. As SHIN, notorious for neglecting the future in order to maximize the now, which sounded remarkably profound in a dumb way. But essentially it means he kind of just forgets to go Hive or get Hive Tech because he thinks he can kill his opponent right now. And he'd very much rather not turtle to Broodlords and Vipers. And he didn't even build Infestors, so SHIN, the People's Zerg, in that sense. Actually, I think he had that title at one point, where just such a tendency to make the same arguable mistakes that your average, aka not Cyril, not Dark, Zerg player makes. But his mechanics and his speed are just so strong, he still can power through it most of the time. MaxPax really makes him work for it, though. It really makes me work to commentate in such a way that makes it seem close, despite the fact SHIN has 8 bases to 1/2 of a base. There was still the very small chance that he runs everything into Storm and is so broke he can't rebuild before the Immortals and Archons come across the map. But SHIN is a top 10 player in the world. Even if sometimes he gets a little carried away. Not that carried away. Well, all right, where are you going? Through the mineral wall, eh? I've seen this before. He's making a real effort at it, too. Why are you opening up 2 spaces? Did he just mess it up? Or does he want to open 2 spaces? You might just take the inner third here. Looks like it. There's also some cheeses, obviously. But that requires you to come across the map and start mining their minerals as well, so things get a little spicy at that stage. Adept, gonna poke around, take a look at the drone count, maybe spot like a roach horn or something in there, but mostly just trying to keep tabs on things. Occasionally, you'll have some real big brain moves where players will transfer drones down to the natural in order to convince the Adept that they have more economy than they do, but it's not that hard to get a scout of both bases, especially with the Oracle, so. Alright, checking to see if maybe MaxPax opened it up. He did not. Spore Crawler's done. Queen's driving away. Oracle racks up one drone kill, but keeps most of its HP intact. And the Queen's... Brenda! Susan, I told you it was your turn to lay the creep tuber. I never learned how to read. Well, that explains a lot. Oracle's coming. Burn out 3 more drones. This time around, though, MaxPax looking a little more comfortable with the situation. Twilight and Forge. SHIN actually down 5 workers, though. Fixing that quickly. MaxPax already taken his 3rd Nexus as well. 3rd Oracle is on the way across. See if he has any Moracles ready after that. Roach Warren is the choice this time. Did we even see a single Roach in the last game? I don't believe so. As MaxPax, well, SHIN went straight up to the Hydras and then the Lurkers. And MaxPax couldn't really make good on the charge knots. Small group of Depths looking for its opportunity. It's enough Zerglings. Yeah, it just jumps right on the shades. Revelation actually misses the mark on some of it. Should have enough energy in a moment for another one. Bit awkward angle. Is he gonna commit to the main? Indeed he does. Gonna right click on some more of these drones. Rest in pieces, Adepts. 4 drones though. Not bad. Especially considering those Adepts are kind of past their expiration date at this point. Getting a full scout and a chunk of drones. Not a bad take. Blink and +1 on the way. Oracle just burning through SHIN very boldly, attempting the 9 o'clock base. Queen's coming down. Sir, this is the Hatchery Owners Association. Okay, we don't like your kind around here. I don't... But... Well, that was very rude. Okay, well, the Oracles are just killing the Queens. After that, that is insult and injury. Well, that's actually just injury and injury there. Losing the hatch and losing a Queen. So, MaxPax very much in the driver's seat this game. Where last time around, SHIN was running him through the gauntlet. Templar Archives nearly done. +1 blink already completed. And by that I mean 6 seconds from now. So just skip forward. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Infestation pit on the way. Dozen Hydras. Again with the Hydralists. But this time around, MaxPax looking to engage directly with the Blink Stalkers. Oh! Blunks over the top. And the Zerglings don't know what to do. He actually gets a bunch of them. Both players at 69 workers. A nice, stable economy to start things off in the mid-game. But MaxPax has so many Blink Stalkers on the way across. A dangerous game right now for both sides. This is a... Both armies are very dangerous to one another. This is one of those situations that could end immediately in disaster. Especially if MaxPax is caught fighting, loses his 4th base and some of his stalkers. Gonna have to rebuild the Nexus. Lost everything. Doesn't get any money back because no canceled the Templar. There should be a battery overcharge. There it is. And there's no storm, so battery overcharge quite good in this exact scenario. Though energy recharge will be nice for the Oracle as well, but those Templar would have certainly died in the next patch. Probably be an Archon, but same deal. Speaking of same deal, Lurkers on the way. Hydras finishing up their speed. Psy Storm now completed. And I mean, MaxPax is a member of Psy Storm Gaming, so just this in-game branding is getting out of hand. Charge. nearly completed. +2 ground weapons as well for MaxPax. Meanwhile, the Hydra and Lurker kept 81 drones for SHIN. Quite a comfortable economy to go up to Hive as he breaks his way through. Storm is done, very important, but how many Immortals on the field? 0. That is not very many. And without the Immortals to deal with the Lurkers, until Hive Tech kicks in, well, it's manageable. But once that Lurker range is done, it's going to be improbable to deal with this without Immortals. MaxPax agrees. He's got his first Immortal in production. Only 1 robotics facility for now. But +2 is about to be completed. He might be able to collapse on top of these Lurkers. It really isn't that many. Loses one of the Oracles. Range is not done yet, but he goes straight for the fleet beacon. As well as 2 more Stargates. Spots the Lurker den as well. That's a lot of Lurkers on the front line. MaxPax trying to hold the front. Interesting, he went for this 4th base, by the way. He decided to slap it down right in the center. And now it's a position that SHIN kind of has to deal with to get to the rest of the map. But also, it's about as close as it could be to the base here. The Queens target firing, but the Warp Prism manages to get away. Another stasis. Storms will strongly discourage, politely yet very firmly asking the Lurkers to leave. But the Lurkers are not very respectful. Their underground tactics. The Templar, some of them getting sliced up. The Stalkers taking terrible, terrible damage. More storms washing over the Zerglings. But so far, SHIN has made a lot of progress. 2 Tempests on the way. The Lurkers are closing in. That spread, I can't believe it's not butter. And now MaxPax has almost no units left. The Lurkers, and down goes the Prism. Oh, it's a disaster for the Protoss. He still has maybe enough energy for a storm or 2. A nice storm to soften up the Lurkers, but SHIN is just carrying this momentum forward. There's not enough Immortals. The Zealots, Spine Crawlers well placed, the backbone of the defense. A pylon targeted down, dismantling the front line, delaying the +1 air weapons. A single Tempest, but the Hydras will slither by. Why is there a drone? There's a Randy! What are you doing here? Predator drone, moral support drone. Oh no! The drone will live, but many of these Lurkers eat massive storms. Autumn colors on the Lurkers. Finally cleans everything up. The door, he must hold the gate. But now they're breaking through more Zealots. Detection is good, but the Lurkers are on top of the probes. The 3rd base is being eviscerated. 30 probes dead. And at this point, I don't know if he can financially recover from this. Yet again, SHIN was able to drive a stake, a shiv, if you would, in between the Protoss bases and the Lurker range. I think MaxPax going for that frontal 4th base was an ambitious move. And if he had another minute before the Lurkers hit, it might have made the difference. SHIN, where are you going? Don't do this again. I don't want to do another 20 minutes of this. Once was enough. Well, all right. So now, once again, I have to come up with clever ways to say MaxPax isn't dead because he's still in the game and he still has access to Psionic Storm. But, more realistically, he's super dead. Unless SHIN is trying out for Major League Baseball and throws incredibly hard. There is just no advantage for MaxPax here, besides Protoss units themselves. But SHIN, he's already done it once. He has a Spire on the way with +1 air weapons. He's got +3 ranged attack in production. MaxPax has to rebuild his Cyber Core. He can't build another Stargate until he rebuilds his Cyber Core. He does have 3 Stargates. I don't think he cares too much. Okay, here we go again. 6 Dropper Lords on the... Does he have Overlord speed? Yes, okay. MaxPax is going to take a bit more conventional 4th base. Bunch of long distance mining. Okay, well, SHIN is going to make a very dramatic play. So either way, at least he's going to bring us to a conclusion more quickly. Operation Overlord gonna storm the beaches of the Protoss and try to end the game as soon as possible, as opposed to just letting MaxPax grind it out and eventually be smothered under the weight of the Zerg economy. But putting so many of your eggs in these Overlord baskets, in the most literal possible sense, is also quite a risk. He could recall, but it's already too late. The Templar Archives is vulnerable. The Lurkers are ripping through the production. There's a... yanking in something. He's got a Nidus to either reinforce or retreat. He's got the Vipers. And I think this time around, SHIN has made much quicker work of it. Now, there's one Zealot. MaxPax, again, refuses to die. He does still have Storm. And a bunch of Tempests. Deja vu. We've just been in this place before. He's rebuilding Stargates. And, well, the main base, there are 2 pylons, a bunch of traumatized probes, and that's it. That's what's left of the main. He lost all of the gateways, all of the forges, the fleet beacon, the Templar, the entire tech tree is chopped off at the stump. Would you die? Caustic spray. He could probably blinding cloud. He's just, I think he's gonna sacrifice. He's just going for it. Shield battery overcharged. Oh my god. SHIN is so. SHIN's like, why won't you just die? Unfortunately, loses like 8 more corruptors because of that. Ah. Well, the Zergs have thrown games in this scenario before, but this is an even further distance to recover than the last game. Like, he lost, unlike the previous match, MaxPax has lost his entire tech tree and has to re-spend gas just to rebuild it. He isn't trickling in Templar or Tempest because he literally can't build them. Well, okay, he rebuilt the Templar Archives, but the point stands. He lost his main base early enough that he's going to... I don't think that's worth it. There's less minerals than the cost of the base. And there's only like 400 just long distance mining at this point. Like, well, all right, let's see if SHIN can throw this one. I fully tilted, like, sometime in last game, I'm like, is this going to be one of those casts where the game gets kind of boring because the outcome is pretty inevitable? And now I've tilted fully into, let's see how hard it is for SHIN to actually kill MaxPax despite being, like, an order of magnitude ahead. He's head and shoulders above. But MaxPax has near immaculate unit control. It's just he's gotten a little too greedy, a little too quickly. And SHIN has taken full advantage. Again, same thing. He's gonna slice right through the natural. God, the storms are cataclysmic. But the world already ended for MaxPax. Adrenal glands! That's how you know it. That's it. That's it. That's enough. I'm playing him out.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
You have to be kidding me that anyone can be this bad.
Shame. 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 We can't take this! We're dying here!
GG!
That's a fucking 50 DKP minus!
He's dead. SHIN, 2-0. As we go into game 3, MaxPax clearly frustrated with SHIN's headstrong style and SHIN. So tied up with his own momentum that he struggles to swerve out of it. But here we are. SHIN has recently gone from that Zerg player you could expect to lose to all your favorite players to the one who's going to beat them. Like, at least half the time. And that's why he's now ranked as... he's on the edge of passing Raynor as third best Zerg in the world. Imagine if he got Adrenal Glands 100% of the time. Alright. Well, then it'd just be Cyril versus SHIN in every turn. So for those wondering why you don't see Cyril or Maru, they didn't stop playing, to my knowledge, but they've always really only played in Premier tournaments, with some small exceptions like World Team League. So if the prize money ain't big enough, then they don't bother showing up. Now, how much of it is because they don't want to give away their strategies? How much of it is because when you've won over $1 million, you don't care about the $200 weekly cup? I believe this is actually like a $2,000 tournament, but still. Chump change. Some players have different philosophy. Like, for example, Clem and Dark are both players who will play in, like, if you're having your 32nd birthday, or let's be more real, 37th birthday, and you're inviting a few friends over, and you say, Dark, if you play a $50 show match against 3 of my friends, well then, or $50 if you play a show match against me and 3 friends. Be like, when and where? Clem, kind of similar, as long as he's awake. Oh, speaking of awake, I was too busy on an aside, and I didn't realize how many Zerglings were headed to MaxPax's side. It's just a bunch of Langs. SHIN has had enough. It's like, maybe the best way to deal with the Sky Toss is never let them get the Sky Toss, he said in a spark of middle school wisdom. All right. And then we take a tactical pause, and now we're back, because we don't pause for anyone around here. The Zerglings with speed. What a timing for one of the casters to lag out. Wow. Meanwhile, Oracle comes in. 3 probes dead. 5. That. Huh. Well, I don't think that was worth it. This wall-off is atrocious, but it is a wall-off, and that means MaxPax has survived. At the end of the day, that is the preferable outcome. SHIN with a pretty half-hearted Zergling attack. Not sure how much a lag spike right in the middle of it. Well, that's unfortunate. Oracle comes in, and another thing you don't have when you invest in that many Zerglings early. You don't have as many queens, you don't have the drones, you're much less likely to be investing in preemptive spore crawlers because you need every drone just to kind of draw even on economy. So SHIN trying to scrape back together what he has. It looks like Glaive to Depths is the choice from MaxPax. Just a Twilight, no other follow-up here. I guess Charge is also on the table, but it's Glaives. Oracle racks up a few more kills. Queen comes out, but just a little bit too late. MaxPax, prove me right. Oracle hanging out. What are you doing with that? There it is. All right. We're just here to make Void Ray noises. Void Ray, objectively one of the coolest units in the game. Very sad that it's one of the most mediocre ones at this stage. It's just so expensive and it takes so much supply, and it's not particularly great at anything. It doesn't have enough ground DPS to compete with the Oracle. It isn't nearly as mobile as Phoenix is. It's like a much more expensive Viking for Terran. Except a Viking is much less of an investment because 2 supply, much less money, but serves the same purpose of warding away overlords. It's a whole bunch of... He's just gonna Bane bust him. Unfortunately, Glaive to Depths are about as good of a counter as you can get, especially defensively. He's just gonna fight outright. The Adepts coming together. And both players are going for aggression. Where will they meet here? So Banelings, on paper, are pretty good against Adepts, but good luck catching them. We do not play this game on paper, no matter how much the comments might disagree. Trying to break through. Baneling's not done yet. Stasis, mid-fight. That could be huge. And it is! He gets the mains! Oh no! Stop right there, criminal scum! But this is my base! Exactly. Work from home. Well, the Adepts are getting terrible, terrible damage, and at this point, even if they're cleaned up, the damage has been dealt. I think he'll cancel that one. Another Adept, yep. And the drones, he got baited by the Shade. This Adept, thankfully not going for too much, but he's gonna get several more drones. Oh my. And they actually managed, oh my, it's a disaster. And about the least efficient bait, it's really bad. Okay, now, this time, we got to debate when SHIN will tap out of the game. This has been... None of these matches have been very close. It's an interesting disparity. But for the first two games, SHIN getting a decisive advantage. And then MaxPax staving off Oblivion. But not permanently. And now SHIN. This is a terrible spot for a Zerg to be in. But the path towards victory is much more linear for MaxPax. He has the units. He can just keep attacking. SHIN does not have the sort of composition that can hold this off for much longer. So, unless MaxPax makes a critical mistake. Wow, he doesn't even have a lair. That's an 8-minute lair. Usually a hive is finishing by this point. Ah, disaster. Force field. The Banelings. Blink isn't done, but it's bad. The Queens coming together, killing some of the snow globes by getting assassinated in turn. SHIN does have +1 melee, which is certainly something. It helps against the Stalkers. The Queens. Keep firing, Susan! Great we don't run out of ammo at least. Alright, MaxPax continues forward with the Stalkers. Another wave, and that's it. Alright. He taps it out. GG. MaxPax is on the board. A series of difficult engagements from start to finish there for SHIN. Just means MaxPax is able to turn it around and maybe regain a bit of momentum in this series. Though, I don't think you can be too upset with that if you're SHIN, as you failed as Zergling of it. He was clearly trying to go for that quick knockout blow. He's played 2 full-on macro games, follows it up with a good old-fashioned Zerg rush, and it just doesn't work out sometimes. MaxPax handled it really well. We're on Ghost River. MaxPax giving him the cold shoulder. No GLHF. Except, side note, if somebody GLHF during the countdown, like the 3-second countdown before the game, it won't show up here. So, that is, MaxPax, I've noticed, has a tendency to GLHF in the countdown. So, he isn't an evil, bad-mannered Protoss. He's an aggressively mannered Protoss. To make it clear. What a messy series. I don't see the matchup changing too much with the new patch. Obviously, we don't have energy. I think energy recharge will affect how some of those engagements go. But the most relevant part is storms on demand in the later game with energy recharge. So shield battery overcharge is better in the first 6 minutes or so of the game, because those are the times you just die. And no amount of having more energy on an Oracle or something will necessarily stop that from happening. But past that point, when you get to 3+ bases, when you got Storm, mostly Storm, but just in general, more energy-based units, that's when energy recharge becomes more effective than the shield battery overcharge. Because the armies get so large that shield battery overcharge doesn't really make or break nearly as much as maybe 2 Storms could. And the key point is, when you start with 50 energy and you drop 100 on it, now, write this down, that's 150 energy. Storm, 75 energy. So therefore, you can effectively warp in 2 Storms. Now, if some of you remember, back in the olden days, 2/3 of MaxPax's life ago, when Wings of Liberty was released, from Brood War, Protoss had an upgrade called Kadiran Amulet, which allowed Templar to start with 75 energy, which allowed them to have a Storm when they were created. So the problem with StarCraft 2 is that you warp in Templar, sometimes in your opponent's base. And it was deemed that the ability to warp in Storms anywhere on the map was a bit too much. So, interestingly, we're now bringing back that functionality, though it is limited to nearby your next eye. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think it will severely limit the ability of Zerg to do like small counter attacks or run-bys, because having a couple Storms on demand is certainly going to be very helpful. But at the same time, it's going to be a real struggle for Protoss to survive, especially against early 3-base timings, without that shield battery overcharge. So we will see. And I look forward to... I assume we're going to be casting this matchup, as these two right now are probably the most active of their race on any version of the game. SHIN, almost certainly the most active. Dark has not been as... We're not sure what Dark's up to right now, but he is playing. Just, I haven't seen him in any PTR matches, so... What? The queens are just dead. He just killed 2 queens with oracles and adepts. What? What? That's not supposed... That wasn't in the script. Okay. Very awkward spot. Good positioning, as always, on the pylon in order to minimize the surface area down there. Fourth base going to be attempted. Oracles a little out of position. 3 oracles in total here. Gonna come in, slice past. 2 more drones. Lair begins. Another later lair. Not nearly as late as the last game, but... Oh, wow. 6 more gates as MaxPax spools up for some Blink Stalker aggression. He is whipping out all of his gates at once instead of trying to increment out his tech like he would if... Well, I think he's learned his lesson. SHIN, you allow him to get to the Hydras and Lurkers, it's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. But if you're able to get the critical damage early, he saw the lair start. He knows there is a wide opportunity, a wide open opportunity that there's a lot of time before a hive could be done. Okay, that's the ham-fisted and inarticulate way of saying it. So MaxPax is going to take advantage of every second of that as he slaps a pylon down, and he's going for the proxy Blink Stalker aggression. Though unfortunately the probe just dies to 2 Zerglings because MaxPax was looking the other way. Hydra dead is only halfway done. Plus 1 melee about to complete. SHIN has 64 drones to MaxPax's 60 probes, though incrementing out a couple more. Just gonna try to shave away some of the Zerglings. Half the battle here is keeping SHIN on a low drone count, forcing him into Zerglings, making sure that larva can't be used for anything that gives him more longevity. And then, as the Blinking +1 completes, ideally using it to its greatest effect. But now, he has to be very careful not to get surrounded. The 3 oracles overhead will protect these Blink Stalkers. The rocks will minimize the surface area. 8 Hydras on the way. Stasis on the high ground. Here comes the Blink. Another warping of Stalkers. The Queens. Call everyone! Lucille, Susan, even Carrot. Yes, even Carrot. Meanwhile, the Stalker's blinking back, and so far, he hasn't lost a single one. This is perfect micro out of MaxPax. We'll finally... Wait. No, he saved it. Oh my god. He lost one. They can bleed. Or whatever it is they do. It's like mechanical parts or something. But... And the oracles come in. Wow, he blunks on top. What an execution. In every sense of the word. MaxPax with another wave of Stalkers all over the place. And he gets it. 2-2. We're going to match point. MaxPax with another decisive victory to drag the series back even. Wow. Near perfect Blink Stalker micro. Ended up losing like 2, fighting off like 60 supply of SHIN there. And now, well, it's anybody's game. What's our last map? And yes, even if it's a draw. Oceanborn, of course. All right. A best of 1 to complete the series. It's been an exhausting one, but thank you for sticking with me. Hopefully you've enjoyed. I know not every series can be an amazing, epic back and forth game of the year of the day, but you've made it an hour in, so it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe. And I want to thank you for being here. I know I don't respond to a lot of comments. I do read them, and it's very selfish. But, to be honest, I feel like if I respond to some of them, I need to respond to all of them to be fair, which is a terrible excuse. But just know, your comment and your support is amazing. Unless it's not. But I'll let you be the judge of that. Thank you very much. And also, if you didn't know, we got the second channel, Winter Gaming TV. I stream most nights there. Been working on almost back to Random Grandmaster. I look forward to getting it for a day and then getting kicked out, but also claiming to be Grandmaster for the next X amount of years until the intern finally breaks the ladder permanently. But we'll see. Still no patch on the live server. So, maybe soon. TM. Somewhere in the next 24 to 240 hours, maybe. I have no inside information. In fact, I have no outside information. Don't go outside ever, so... Well, when I can avoid it. But, thank you for watching, and hopefully I made your day a little bit better so far. I do wonder, there are occasionally these series. And if you're watching this, this obviously isn't one of them. But sometimes I'll cast an entire series. An hour plus, occasionally. I'll be like, you know, that just wasn't very good. At this stage of StarCraft 2, I'm pretty okay, I think, at picking out good games for the fans. Partially just based on who's playing, but partially based on recommendations and everything in between. But occasionally there are series like this, where probably if it wasn't MaxPax versus SHIN, I'd think twice about putting it out there. And then I realize I'm creating this unrealistic expectation that every game is going to be an epic back and forth, when honestly, the average professional game is like 8 minutes long. It's just, we're seeing effectively the 1% of pro games that either have a much more epic back and forth, longer games, one way or another, but they're the outliers. There are barely enough hours in the... I don't think there are enough hours in the day to cast every match of professional StarCraft 2. There's still usually about 100 or so pro-level matches a week. Which, believe it or not, I usually don't put out 100 videos a week. Though, we'll work on it. So. But what am I saying with all of this? This better be an epic, close battle, no matter how it ends. We deserve it, okay? I've built up all of this expectation, or managed it. I'm not sure which one it is. It's been a one-sided battle, but it's seesawed back towards MaxPax now. Will the pendulum swing all the way back toward SHIN? Will MaxPax be able to maintain his momentum? Or are we going to meet somewhere in the middle? We'll find out. As the Oracle comes across, was used as a spotter for the Stalkers to kill the Overlord. Gets the Creep Tumor and the Queens. Unhappy about it, but unable to do much. He's really been liking that Evo chamber. I'm not sold on the +1 melee attack lings. Especially from the guy who doesn't acknowledge the existence of adrenal glands. But as a transition into Hydras, it does make a lot of sense. Use the Zerglings, because you don't really want to go Roaches into Hydras, because Roaches cost gas. Not much, but they do cost gas. And that slows down the Hydras, the Lurkers, the Hive. So if you can rely on just Zerglings and maybe invest just that 100 gas and +1 melee, that's probably the most efficient way to get to the Hydra Lurker sort of composition. Oh, Oracle's about the Queens! Another battle group from the north side. A whole bunch of Zerglings. Is that enough? They don't have +1. The probe's on stop position, but I think SHIN went... Well, here come the Oracles back at home. And a single Stalker survives. The body block was good. 12 drones on the way behind it, so obviously SHIN not interested in following it up anymore. Just trying to force a response from Mac. Brenda! What are you doing? I enjoy the feel of the sand beneath my feet. I hate sand! It's irritating. You're irritating, Karen. Sorry. Templar Archives, Blink +1 on the way. This time around, MaxPax not investing in the all-out Blink aggression, but instead going to be teching out the rest of the tree. Does he go straight for Storm? Because it seems very similar to the sort of situation we were in the first couple of games. Oh, there's a... What? Well, I was entirely wrong. Mutas. And yes, those are for mutas. He's getting roaches. No Hydra down at all. Just completely subverting expectations. And Zergling is also very good at boxing out for the mutas. He's got the roaches as well. That makes the Blink Stalkers a more dangerous option. But if MaxPax is not ready for the big muta switch, obviously that can come with deadly consequences. Blink Stalkers against double-digit mutas are simply not enough. They can zone them out, but they can't stop them. That's the big danger. Already another gas. And here's the thing. SHIN has already rushed Lurkers in 2 different games. Which means MaxPax is likely expecting exactly that again. He sees all this gas, but now he's going to see the Roach Lang. Wait, who's flanking who here? Roach speed is not done. Blink very much is. The Stalkers, most of them able to slip away. A couple of them caught. Oracles will light up and zone out the rest. 9 mutas on the way. But he's just going to throw the mutas out there. He's throwing it in there like a wrench in the gears. And then shifting immediately into Hive and Lurkers. Unless that's going to be Nidus, in which case... Or, I mean, Swarm House, in which case we're just getting crazy. But the 9 mutas to force out such a strong response. Now, the question is, the investment in mutas, will it be worth the time that he delays the Lurkers? And I think this comes down entirely to how much MaxPax panics. Because if he starts building another Stargate, Phoenixes, Fleet Beacon cannons everywhere, because he got blindsided by the mutas, that's only going to carve out more space. Oh, he's already got cannon. Well, he was clearly prepared. Not even building any Phoenixes. Instead, blinking by, but the Stalker on hold position actually blocks out some of the Stalkers. Unfortunately, 12 probes dead. Not a great start for the Danish Protoss. A Phoenix is on the way. Not a huge reaction, but clearly buying plenty of space here. Yes, MaxPax will have 4 bases. But again, ooh, the Blink Stalkers and the Templar. Well, almost he damages his own oracles with the Storm. More Blink Stalkers in the main, but the Lurkers are being created without any sort of context, or contest, rather. The context is the mutas buying time with their very lives. Another important point is now SHIN has the Spire done. So a Broodlord switch is on the horizon as well, if he needs to go that direction. But MaxPax immediately headed towards the fleet beacon. And maybe this time, he can survive to actually get some of those units before losing most of his economy. But SHIN is almost done with the Lurker range. He's working on +2 ranged attack. MaxPax has quite a fearsome army, though. Stasis wards kind of scattered throughout the whole map. Another one catches another 30 or so Zerglings. But Lurker range, he really needs to stop these Lurkers. He cannot lose his 4th base again. That would be an absolute disaster. But the first Lurker wave just ripping through the Stalkers, and again SHIN was able to... He just carves through. He's not going to be able to save the base. He might chip away at the edges, but yet again, SHIN blindsides MaxPax, who, even though he has the detection, the Lurkers are already entrenched. Tempests are on the way. MaxPax manages to evacuate the majority of his probes. Storms to ward most of the army back. Still so many storms. Down to 1 Templar. Whoa. Lurker ascends. A small attempt. A single Zealot may actually get some kills. Oh, and in the main base, another few Zealots. Gonna be warped in. The Warp Prism will go down, but quite a quandary here. The Queens have to deal with it. And the Zerglings are dragged back to defend. A mothership is on the way. This isn't the new patch mothership. It can kill it. Maybe we'll get to see the mothership yanked by a single Viper straw one last time. But 16 Corruptors. SHIN, with his tech tree manipulation, as he weaves in and out of the Spire tech, may be able to just sweep the Tempest out of the sky. But MaxPax didn't take nearly the level of damage he did in the first 2 games of the series. He still has the probes, he still has the unit composition, and most importantly, he's been able to get to the fleet beacon without being crippled. So we'll see. Now, stasis wards are helpful, but also kind of a liability. As now he has to kind of sit around and wait for the stasis to time out. You know, if you could manually cancel the stasis, that would be quite a buff. Though, add to the amount of micro required for late game Protoss significantly. Guess not required, it'd just be helpful. Carrier. Oh, well, I mean, roaches kind of past their expiration date. MaxPax has maxed out, and now it's time to pack his bags and head for SHIN. But oh SHIN, he's right here at the doorstep. Storms onto the Lurkers. Revelation's good. A lot of Corruptors up there. How many more? Active cloaking, but there are several Overseers. Storms helping out against the Corruptors, but the Lurkers are ripping through the ground army. Another set of Storms. Still a couple Tempests left over. 19 more Hydras on the way. Gonna lose the Cyber Core, upgrading +2 air weapons. But SHIN, MaxPax struggling to deal with this brute force Zerg. A Time Warp finally used, but the ground army is in a horrible position. And SHIN again finds the Lurkers. And again, MaxPax is pinned back, losing key bases. and he just doesn't have the unit composition to contest this. He doesn't have the immortal count. The Tempests are not enough to carve this away. Zealots are actually cutting off a lot of the reinforcements. He recalls probes from his natural, saves them at the third for now. What a play on the mothership. And the lurkers will retreat. MaxPax has 2,000 minerals in the bank, so he's not completely out of it yet. In fact, SHIN has almost no minerals at all. Of course, he's nearly maxed out with plenty of upgrades, as long as they aren't adrenal glands. MaxPax, he's got the carriers. This has been a rough one, though. And the stasis again! Another incredible stasis. MaxPax not keeping tabs on the army. It's gonna shove in towards the 4th base, but that's not that many lurkers, at least the ones unfrozen. And the storms? Incredibly helpful, but the Tempests are coming in, or the Corruptors coming in from all sides. Point-blank storms on his own army. The Corruptors are sweeping everything from the sky. Are the carriers enough left over? There's a Phoenix in there. The Tempests are taking a lot of damage. The Nexus dies. The unfrozen lurkers. The mothership might be able to tank enough of this. He actually saves it. And MaxPax again. He's not dead. But he's definitely not doing great. Just like StarCraft Ghost. Did you guys see that Blizzard seems to be reviving StarCraft Ghost for the 3rd time? You ready to be disappointed again? Well, just like this series, for the 3rd time, MaxPax is looking like he's going to be canceled before he can get close to unleashing a victory. SHIN has done enough to shove MaxPax into a very narrow situation. And again, and again, and again, MaxPax holds on. But clawing back from this position. SHIN has had multiple iterations in order to improve upon his late game tactics here. And I think each time he's gotten slightly better at it. He's evolved it just a little bit. And it's clearly paid off. And now he's not coming back from this one. Is there a Viper? No, there's a bunch of Corruptors. Because since SHIN is the people's Zerg, using spellcasters is for nerds. And I don't care if you have literally 600 APM, it's hard even for SHIN. There goes the mothership. Time Warp gonna help. Wipes the carriers, and SHIN takes it 3-2. A pretty decisive victory, considering both losses were just sharp 2-base timings from MaxPax. But he evolves with each game, and eventually is able to claim victory. An exhaustive series. MaxPax showing some moments of clarity there, but overall, a difficult one. A tough one to watch for MaxPax fans, as SHIN seems to have his number right now. And in fact, SHIN seems to have everyone's number, just shooting up in the ranks. We haven't seen him against... He's actually beaten Clem. Now beating MaxPax. Cyril, I'm sure, is on the agenda soon, whenever we get a chance, but there's a reason that he's now in the top 10. And just this very decisive, cost-effective, but decisive Zerg style that a lot of players are just ill-equipped to deal with. And he claims yet another arguable upset victory. Well, I've pontificated enough. This has been an exhausting one in more ways than one. And I think we'll wrap it up there, obviously. Thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to Wardi, as always, for putting on these tournaments. Make sure to check them out if you got an opportunity. And, of course, like and subscribe, which is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.